Anybody home? This will be a good chance for me to see how far I can go against a company captain.
It ends for you here.
Huh?
Cause the Fifth Angel's 3 have come for thee!
Hello everybody, Megazard here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 6th episode of Fire Force called The Spark of Promise. And if you haven't already checked out my episode 5 review of Fire Force, you can go ahead and click that card in the corner to check that video out, and then come back and check this video. This episode was filling to the brim of character development, backstory, a spicy pinch of action, all jam-packed into one episode. So there is quite a bit of recap to go over in this episode, so I feel like this is going to be one of my longer reviews for Fire Force. So go ahead and brace yourself, just get ready for all of this. So go ahead and grab a chair and kick up your feet and relax as we go over this latest episode of Fire Force.
Alright, Iris. Be a good girl and watch your allies from the 8th burn.
Why are you doing this?
Maybe you should ask that god of salvation you're still pledged to. There are just 2 ways you can live in this world. You can burn others or you can be burnt.
When Shinra enters the palace where Princess Hibana resides in, Shinra is attacked by 3 angels of the 5th, but quickly makes work of them. In the meantime, Hibana recollects her past with Iris until she is interrupted by Shinra. Asserting his presence, Iris shouts out to Shinra in worry, claiming that he won't be able to beat her as she's a battalion commander, but Shinra exclaims their fight won't go like the last previous confrontation. As he dashes towards her, Hibana gazes at the boy and uses her heat fever to make him fall to his knees in dizziness. Hibana explains her ability to Shinra, and he begins to think nothing of it but it's his own imagination, which allows him to gradually stand up using sheer willpower, then exclaiming he'll use his imagination to become a hero instead. Hibana pulls out her iron fan and displays her ignition ability, and she prepares to take on Shinra. Iris looks at the two as she doesn't want them to fight, but Shinra claims that he'll fight Hibana in order to open her eyes to reality. Enraged by Shinra's gimmicks, Princess Hibana unleashes her ignition ability, cutting and making him dizzy in the process. Shinra struggles to fight back due to his dizziness, but Hibana continues her assault on him. Iris begs for her to stop, though Hibana points out if she wants her to stop, she should be praying to her phony god. Hibana goes on to speak about her ideal of true salvation, using other people for personal gain, looking down at the flock where you thrive, referring to her personal experience of all the sisters of the Holy Soul Temple burned, falling to the phenomenon, while Iris and Hibana were salvaged. Reminiscing, Hibana calls herself being the only sister within the temple to not be exhausted about the religion and praying countless times every day, and despite this, she was saved from being burned while the other sisters fell into the phenomenon, and all she felt was powerful to have survived. As Shinra gets up and speaks of his relation to her past of the flames, Hibana claims that heroes don't exist in this world. Hibana attacks him with a gale of flames, but Shinra remains firm-footed and claims that he will become a hero for Hibana's sake, much to her shock. Declaring that he'll beat her for her own sake, Hibana tries to mock Shinra and his goals of becoming a hero, saying they don't exist, but Shinra retaliates with a determined punch, shouting that he'll become a hero for her sake, landing a heavy blow to her face. Iris carries a knocked out Hibana on her lap, and she's unconscious. She recalls her history with the flame, being the only 3rd generation at the Holy Soul Temple. All of the fellow sisters were always enthused to see her display of flowers made of flames. As Iris watches timidly from a corner, Hibana spots her and welcomes her to come closer. Sumir walks over and tells Hibana to stop playing with the fire as it poses a threat, but Hibana says it's safe. As all sisters go into the chapel, Iris stops Hibana and pleads to see her fire flowers again. Hibana makes a promise that she'll show her the flowers once Iris breaks out of her shell a little bit more. As they walk into the chapel, they are overwhelmed by the scenery of all the sisters burning and falling victim to the human body ignition phenomenon. Covering their eyes of a young Iris, they escape the temple to salvage themselves. Experiencing the trauma and once thinking of the flames as a beautiful thing, Hibana changed her concept of reality into one that devoted her time into researching and experimenting on flame humans. Eventually twisting her personality into that of a self-proclaimed demon, years passed and Hibana ultimately left her residence with Iris to pursue her goal of discovering everything there is to know about the phenomenon and living her own life. She ended up selling her research to Hajima Heavy Industries, and by giving them what they wanted, she attained the status of battalion commander as well as the funding for her experiments. Hibana finally awakens, finding herself on Iris's lap. Questioning Iris's resolve to help and comfort her, Iris explains that Hibana was seen as the beautiful, smart, and amazing role model of the temple, which all the sisters saw her as being a hero in their eyes. Hibana claims that although that may be the case, she has never had someone to look up to. Shinra steps in, claiming that if she's looking for a hero, he's the man for it, to which she blushes. Iris asks Hibana if she can finally see the fire flowers again, so Hibana uses her ability to create iris-shaped flowers, to which Iris bear hugs her. Hibana then looks to Shinra to fill him in on the secret of the phenomenon. From this point forward, Hibana, Shinra, and Iris then discuss how they're going to manage to cover up this whole entire mess, and they came to the conclusion that they would say essentially Company 5 versus Company 8 was having a mock battle, and that is essentially where the episode ends. So overall, this episode was packed to the brim with action along with a ton of backstory for Hibana and Iris as well. Starting first with the animation, I really like the time and attention David Production puts into making the flame effects, because out of all the other anime I've watched, which was a crap ton, I haven't seen a fire look nearly as good as this, and especially that one scene with Hibana making those fire flowers. Everything just looked very smooth and very fluid, and I didn't notice anything looking off about the episode visually. Now, looking at the meat and potatoes of the episode, it was mainly all about Hibana and Iris. Throughout the episode, we got many different flashbacks of an earlier time when Hibana and Iris were attending the nun school. So at first, you wouldn't imagine Hibana being the same person as what you actually see with her being today. But that was all due to the crazy human combustion event that affected all of the sisters except for Hibana and Iris. While Iris remained devoted to her nun duties, Hibana was traumatized to the point that she couldn't go back to the nun life with worshiping the goddess and everything else that was associated with it. Hibana's viewpoint over the whole ideal was either you do the burning or you get burned, and she kept this mindset in order to keep herself safe. She had this misguided delusional mindset because when anybody goes through depression, life-changing events, or high amounts of stress, your mind will cope with that in whatever way possible to keep yourself the most comfortable as possible. So basically just to ease your mind and give yourself the most comfort. The whole burn or be burned idea is similar to the old quote, you either hunt or be hunted. Whenever, you hear that quote a lot with hunters whenever they hunt. So this led on to her pushing away her nun duties and leading down the bad spiraling path of her doing dirty work and selling her research on human combustion to basically cheat the system and rise the ranks to just gain more power to do whatever she pleases with her experiments. Thankfully, during all of this, Shinra remained true to himself, and thanks to some encouraging words from Iris as well along the way, they were able to bring Princess Hibana back into the light. Fire doesn't always have to be a bad thing, but can also bring warmth during the cold of the night, as Hibana was currently experiencing in her heart this whole entire time. So now that all of the things are resolved, we may get to see the possible reasons why human combustion happens, since Hibana has now been converted from her bad practices from before. It's also interesting to note that Shinra has gained quite a bit of attention from Maki, Iris, Tamaki, and now Hibana, which all have varying levels of interest with him. I'm not sure how this guy is doing this, but I guess that's just shonen anime for you. But now that the Company 5 versus Company 8 arc is just about wrapping up, we are now about to transition into the next arc, being versus Special Fire Force Company 1 arc. And that is all I have for my 6th review of episode 6, so I hope you really enjoyed it. If you hadn't already done so, make sure you hit that like button if you like this video, and hit that subscribe button as well as that bell to keep up to date on all things Fire Force I'm reviewing and discussing this series. I'm also curious to hear your thoughts about what you thought about this week's episode, so leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. Also, if you want to check me out on social media, you can also follow me on Twitter at Megazard_X just to keep up with anything I might be talking about or discussing over there on that social media channel. So make sure to tune in next time for my review of episode 7, The Investigation of the First Commences. So until whatever video I make next, see ya!
What do you think? Did I overcome my shyness a bit?
How is that even a question now? I can't believe you waltzed into my base all by yourself.
I wanted to see your flowers again. They're pretty. I love you, sister!